Mike,
Hey,
there you go. How do I sound?
you sound fine.
Okay, good, because I have my mic this time. and
Oh yeah, and you're recording now too.
I'm recording now too, finally. Because last time we didn't see that, you didn't see it. This makes the second time we've done this. Can you hear my chair squeak?
Yeah, but that don't matter.
Okay, all right, okay. Well, this is going to be a podcast and a video vlog, both. How did your meeting go? Oh,
Actually,
wait. Before you talk about that, I wanna welcome you to my podcast. This is my fourth. The actually it's my fifth because I recorded you last time without recording you.
yeah.
We did a
Well,
whole
that
hour.
was rehearsal.
That was rehearsal. That was
Yeah.
rehearsal. So I know all the questions to ask you now because I didn't know that much about you. Now I do. But anyway, how did
Oh,
you? Thank you for coming and thank you for getting up this early.
wait, the yesterday's meeting.
Hmm.
Um, like I can't say too much about it, but I wrote a movie script. I don't know, maybe a year ago, and I wrote it together with co-written by a pretty famous Hollywood director,
Hmm. Hmm.
and we wrote half and half, and he looks like he sold it.
All right, that's good. Right.
But so the meeting yesterday was with that other director and two lawyers
Okay. All right.
and a guy in the UK, but it ended after like I don't know, only about an hour and a half.
That's why you were finished at 7:55. You call. I think you sent a message. I didn't see it till the evening.
Oh, okay.
You said that you could do it, and I was thinking, wait, is that 7:55 in the evening that he wrote? And I looked, so I realized that my clock's on 24-hour time, so it was actually seven.
Yeah,
I couldn't have done it
yeah,
then because I had other stuff set up since I knew we wouldn't be doing it.
yeah. That's okay.
I planned for
I
this.
just thought maybe you had it set up already, and I don't know.
No, I wouldn't have. No. But
Mm.
anyway, so thank you for doing this again. Let me see. Where do we leave off? Last time you were telling me about, we'll end with that. I think we'll end with what you did before, Raindance,
Uh-huh.
which
Oh,
is,
Raindance Film Festival runs October 28th till November 7th
okay,
in London, and it's going to be online. So
okay.
all you have to do is search Raindance Film Festival, and then you can find the link to watch the film festival online.
Mm-hmm.
And
Now you said, now you
I'm a
set that up.
jury
You told me
member.
that's going to be all free. You mentioned that that's going to be all free this time.
Raindance is not free.
Not Raindance,
Rain,
but
yeah,
the videos
Raindance.
that you have on the site will all be free for viewing.
No, that's not Raindance. That's
Okay.
JIFF.
Oh, teach me. Come on.
Okay, wait. So Raindance is a like one of the world's premier reputation, really very, very, very high film festivals. So their film festival, I think it costs about $20 to watch the films.
Okay.
So you can sign up for that right now. Just go to their website and look for the online and the messaging there. They have maybe 250 films.
Wow.
And my film festival is called JIFF, Japan Indies Film Festival. That's going to run November 16th through November 17th, only 2 days.
Right.
And I can get into that, why that is, but it's going to be free. Everything is free. So you can watch 24 really, really good movies. And some of these movies have won awards at other, like best film at other film festivals.
Okay.
But on JIFF, it will be the world premiere, Japan premiere of these
Mm-hmm.
films.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can go online and just Facebook, Twitter. The link is everywhere, like
Right.
today, right
Right.
now. And you can just go and sign up, and it's free. Everything's free. The reason why it's free, okay, so let me explain that. I had run some big film festivals here in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
I can't really say too much about that either, but I didn't like, well, it just kind of bothered me how the Japanese staff were fighting all the time.
Okay.
And so finally, end of last year, I decided to run my own film festival
Mm-hmm.
and do it exactly the way Raindance does things. Raindance is a true indies film festival. And in Japan, the film festivals all in Japan are not world circuit. I don't even think there's film festival in Japan that's rated in the top 200 in the world.
Okay.
Um, even like a Tokyo International Film Festival,
Hmm.
I had heard that they lost $800,000 last year, and they only had 100 visitors.
Now, why? Because they didn't promote it well, or what?
No, it's just a big industry get together thing. You
Okay.
can't enter the film festival if
Right.
you're an independent film festival. They won't accept your films.
Hmm.
All the films are invitations from the people who run Tokyo International Film Festival. So, um,
So if you wanted to get in there, you need to know some of those people.
yeah, that's right.
Okay. If you know the people, so it's by contact. It's who you know.
Yeah, and that's the problem with Japanese film festivals. They're all that way, basically.
Okay.
So, Raindance is 28 years old, and it is a true indies film festival. They do not pay people to be jury members or judges or working staff. Some staff get paid, but most of the people are volunteers.
Hmm.
And Japanese film festivals, though, will pay people like $1,500 to be a jury member,
Okay.
and it's just crazy. So, and the reason why is, let's say you do a film festival like in Shibuya or whatever. The Shibuya government will give you, 5 million yen or 10 million yen to
Hmm.
run the film festival, but they'll turn around and say, but we want famous people coming.
Right. Right.
So if you want Tarantino to show up at your film festival, you got to pay him.
Okay.
And that's going to cost $3,000, $5,000 at least. I mean, for hotel, airfare, everything, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Raindance doesn't pay anyone,
Okay.
but their respect is so high that people will show up at their film festival. So Tarantino premiered his movie Pulp Fiction
Right.
at Raindance, and I can't remember what his name is. Another very famous director, the guy who did Batman,
Okay.
he premiered his early films at Raindance, and he used to be like this really low budget film director, but now he's doing these, $150 million budget films. So
How does Rain Dance compare to Cannes Festival? Is it
um,
the same?
Cannes is probably the number one film festival in the world.
Okay.
Raindance is considered the number 4 or number 10, depending on who you talk to, film festival in the world. But as far as Indies Film Festival, Raindance is number one.
Okay.
And don't think that Indies means cheap or bad, because like I just said, Tarantino started that way. Wait, I can tell you what his name is. Just a second. Um, he did the Batman movies. Wait a
Hmm.
minute. Um, I got it right here. Um, this guy, oh yeah, Christopher Nolan.
Christopher Nolan. Okay.
Yeah, he did the Batman movies. He's won 5 Academy Awards. He started out at Raindance,
Hmm.
and that's how he got his big break. So, and there's so many that I can name. Last year they had the Monty Python guys all show up at the film festival, and they show up as guests. They're not being paid to be there,
Yeah.
and they show up because they want to be seen, and everybody knows Raindance is really cool.
I mean, Michael.
So,
All right, but I haven't said anything. I'm thinking about people listening to this podcast too, and I shouldn't be thinking about that. Yes, I should be. We're talking to Michael Rogers, who's been
yeah,
in Japan. For how long have you been here, Michael?
36 years.
36 years in Japan.
Yeah,
You were born and raised in the U.S.
yes,
Okay.
yeah,
You come from California.
yeah. Originally, yeah,
Okay, right. And one older brother, one younger brother,
yes. Unfortunately,
right? American father, Japanese mother.
yes, yes. My mother died 25 years ago. My father died, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago.
5 or 6 years ago, right?
So I have no reason to go back to the United States anymore.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
And why? Why? Because you have a family. Oh, you're married and have a family here, right?
yeah. I have 4 kids.
4 kids. And
Yeah,
you have what? 2 girls, 2 boys?
no, 3 girls and 1 boy.
Okay.
So
In
the
that order?
oldest is, yeah. three girls. The oldest girl is 35, and
Mhm.
my son is 16.
Okay.
But he's about to be 17.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's still living with you, of course.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Let me brag about my son.
Please.
He goes to British school.
I had my sons there too. I had them there for the first 3 years.
Oh, that's good.
I sure did. But the British school had only been open for 3 years. Margaret Thatcher came here to christen it when it opened.
Oh,
That's
well,
right.
anyway, so they had a big all of Japan competition, and they have a big concert with a full orchestra, and some famous guy comes from England to conduct the orchestra, and they had the audition for who does the solo piano,
Okay.
and they always pick a student from their school, and my son was chosen to
Hmm.
be the solo pianist. But he's won best child pianist in Japan twice, and he's
Okay.
been in the top 5, I don't know, 4 or 5 times.
When did you start him on the piano?
When he was, well, actually, when he was like 6 months old, because my wife is a concert
On the piano.
pianist too.
Okay.
So she started off doing Ditomic. You know what
Okay.
that is? You know, the
You tell
moms
me.
dance with, yeah, the moms dance with the kids and learn the
Okay.
rhythm.
All right.
So
I know
that,
the Suzuki method. I know the Suzuki
yeah.
method where
So the piano school he went to, if you don't do Ditomic from 6 months old, they won't accept you.
wow.
So he basically started piano when he was 4 or so.
Okay. Did she do the same thing with your daughters?
Nah, my daughters, they like guitar or they like violin, and then when when you have to practice, and they don't like that
Okay.
part, so they dropped off. And my wife doesn't play the guitar or play the violin or anything, so nobody to play with at home.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, so that's why, and that's come out. So this next year in June, the whole British community in Japan gets together for this big concert concerto,
Mm-hmm.
and my son will be the solo pianist at it.
At the Showa campus, obviously.
No, I think they have it at a big place, like
Oh, they go to a different place. Okay.
yeah, it's
But
like a
he's
12.
at the Showa campus because they have the Shibuya campus and the Showa campus. So I
Yeah,
think Shibuya campus is up to year 3, I guess, or something like that. Or
something like that. Yeah.
year 1 or 2, something like that.
So let me say about the British school. My I've had kids go to Seisen
Okay.
and St. Mary's,
So, wait,
and
wait, wait, wait. How could you have 3 girls and your son? Your son went to St. Mary's as well?
yes,
Okay,
until
so
high school, and then we
oh,
switched
I
him
see
to
what you're saying. So
British
you
school.
wait. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Well, let me get this straight. You have 3 daughters. Now they could St.
Yes,
Mary's is all boys school. That's why I'm
yes, yes.
now
Seisen is girls' school
right. And your
till
son's
high
at the
school.
British school now,
Yes,
but he went to St. Mary's part of
yes.
okay, I got it.
St. Mary's is an excellent school until junior high school.
Okay.
It really is.
Right.
And the principal, I think he's retired now, was a guy named Lang, Jim Langsdorf or something like that.
Okay, I
And
knew Brother Andrew years ago. That would have been your time and my time for school.
yeah, and he's a really good principal, and he ran things really strictly.
Mhm.
But then when high school started, and I don't really want to talk about this too much, but we had meetings with teachers, and the history teacher says, well, we're gonna start off with the French Revolution, the Restoration, the Habsburgs, World War I, the Industrial Revolution, World War II, and the Cold War, and then we're gonna wrap that all up and talk about global warming. And I was like, wait a minute, did you just say you're going to talk about global? What does that have to do with history?
Okay.
And he got really scared and said,
Right.
"Oh, well, and I said, I don't really care, but I just want my kid to get a fair education. That's it.
Right.
I'm not into indoctrination and things like that." So we went to British school and talked to them, and the principal there is a very serious guy, no messing around, and we switched him to British school,
Mhm.
and he's very happy there.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I chose the British school because I had my son first at the American school in Japan. I had him
Hmm.
there for nursery school. And I thought that was a lot of money to be paying at that time and any
Hmm.
time for kids just to take naps and play. They
Yeah.
weren't learning, they weren't teaching them anything. So at the British
Yeah.
school, from the start off, so that's why I had my
Mhm.
next two sons go there. They started teaching them cursive and printing. They had to
Mhm.
read 3 books a day, even the
Yeah.
children's books, they had to bring them, and the parents were supposed to accompany them with it to make sure it happened. And they just
Yeah.
really started programming these kids, and I loved it. They were
Yeah.
giving them information so they could work with something.
Yeah.
Just
The
playtime,
the
playtime.
British school is very serious
Mhm.
about education,
They are.
and that was the whole point. And
Mhm.
it does cost a lot of money,
It
but
does. Tell me about it. You're paying a college tuition for elementary school. It's equivalent to a college tuition. You're paying what? You're paying $2,000-$3,000, you know, $20,000,
yeah,
$30,000. I'm talking about a year.
yeah,
That's no joke.
no,
No joke. $20,000-$30,000 a year for elementary school. Come on.
yeah. So wait, so at St. Mary's, the one more teacher who was an English teacher,
Mhm.
she said something like the history teacher said. I can't remember what it was. And I raised my hand. Here's a room with this teacher, and there's all these like big company executives, presidents of companies and their wives, you
Right.
know,
Right.
Indian, Chinese, Koreans, there were a few Caucasians there.
Mhm.
And I said to her, wait a minute, are you suggesting you're going to teach our kids leftist ideology? And she
Whoa.
said, I kind of thought, you've got to be crazy. She said, well, I am a socialist and a feminist. And
What? And you said,
yeah,
no,
and I thought,
no.
you got to be crazy to say this in a room full of capitalists. So, anyways, I complained to the management at the school, but nothing ever happened. So I just said, forget this.
Wow. Mm.
Yeah, you're a kid only once, and if your parents don't do their best to get you a good education, then what are you going to do when you're only like 8 years old 1 year? you know.
That's true.
So
That's true.
so
But what
anyways, he's
I
very
think
happy at British
most of
school.
the kids in our community, being in the expat community, are very lucky because their parents, first of all, it's not an economic situation for them. They don't have a concern. They
Yeah,
can take care of whatever it costs for them to go to school. And I always tell parents, be careful who's teaching your kids because
yeah,
they're not just teaching the subject they're supposed to teach. They're teaching your kids their feelings and how they can't take it out of it. So find out who's going to be planting these seeds in your kids' heads. And
yeah,
that's what I did with each one of my kids to make sure, each one of my sons to make sure that they were guided in the proper way, that they
yeah.
were like you did, to make sure they're not be taught ideologies that just don't match with their fathers and their mothers and the society that they're going to grow up in.
Well, I don't, if the kids come to that ideology, the
That's on their own.
socialist, that's on them. And
That's right.
there's nothing I can say because I was like a hardcore communist when I was in college,
Okay.
and then I got a lot of money from the California government to go to school
Okay.
because I'm half Japanese.
Right.
This is how ridiculous this is. And so they gave me all this money, and okay, I'm sure it's past the statute of limitations. But they used to pay me $8,000 to go to college a year, and I
Wow.
would get that $8,000 check, and then I would cash it and take $2,000 and then come to Japan like in December every year and just screw around, and then go back to college and just starve and you know do my best. But I realized then that this is not sustainable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The government cannot do this, and I thought it was very unfair. Started thinking about it,
Yeah.
and my thinking has totally changed. um, I'm not a Democrat or a Republican,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm certainly not a communist or
Right.
a socialist, that's for sure.
Wow. So tell me more about, you can tell me more about what you do because you didn't say anything about that. You just jumped right into, because we talked before, and that's
Yeah,
why I liked our first podcast. And it's
yeah.
not fair to the people that are listening that I didn't record
Oh,
it.
okay.
But what do you do and how did you get started doing it? Because you've been here for 26 years, you said, right?
36 years.
36 years, 36
Yeah.
years. And you came over here because why?
Oh, I came over here because I was working as a stockbroker at Prudential Base.
Okay.
I made a lot of money. I was 25 years old. I bought a 4-bedroom house. I had 2 cars, and my bosses. You ever see that movie Wall Street,
I
Wolf
sure
of Wall
did.
Street, or whatever it's
Sure
called?
did. Yes. Yes.
Those guys were like my bosses.
Okay.
So
You
anyway,
made a lot of money.
lots of things happened, and a lot of things made me wonder, like, this is not so good. But the final last straw, there was this woman named Yolanda Lopez. She
Mhm.
was 40 years old. I handled all her accounts, and she had a stroke.
Okay.
She didn't drink. She didn't smoke. She had a 10-year-old son and a husband who didn't drink or smoke. She had a stroke. So I went to see her after she got out of the hospital, and the left side of her body was paralyzed.
Right.
And I could tell that she was so embarrassed because she wanted to put her hand on their table, and she had to take her right hand and lift up her left
Mhm.
hand and put it on the table. And I
Mhm.
felt so sorry for her. And I really got along with this family well. And I even took one of their cat's babies.
Okay.
You don't take a cat baby from someone without having like some kind of,
Emotional feeling with them. Yeah.
yeah. So after after that happened, I explained to her California law. It said all of these like annuities and things like that. You don't have to pay any more money in them. You don't have to pay anything. They're fully paid off because this has happened to you. And so I think maybe, and this is like 1982 or so. Um, it was like almost $250,000 just fell in her lap that
Mhm.
day.
Mm.
So I go back to the office, and my boss is there's the district boss, and then the assistant district boss, and my boss there, and they're like, "Well, tell us what happened with Yolanda Lopez." And I said, "Well, I told her the law, and I explained to her that everything's hers, and she doesn't have to pay anything." And they
Mhm.
were so upset. You have to think about the company and what's good for the company. And I said, "Isn't doing right by people what's good for the company?" And so they said, we're gonna go back and see her. And then we went back and saw her, and they lied to her.
Oh.
And they told her, like, take a bunch of that money and buy another life insurance policy. This is a life insurance policy to someone who's already had a stroke. So the premiums are super expensive. So after that happened, and I was like 25, 26 years old.
You knew that was wrong.
Yeah, and I was totally psychologically dominated by these 50, 60-year-old guys. So after that happened, I got so upset, and I went home, and I think I drank for 3 days. And
Wow.
then I just said, I'm quitting. I'm not going to do this job anymore.
Mhm.
And I went back to see Mrs. Lopez, and I explained everything to her. I told her, I'm really sorry. I didn't say anything, but they're older than me. And I told her that under California law, when they bring the new policies there, you have 15 days to deliver them.
Mhm.
Otherwise, they're null and void. So
Mhm.
when these people call you, don't talk to them. They come to the door of the house, don't answer the door. Do not touch that policy paper. Do not allow them to hand that to you.
You know what I
And
just realized, Mike? You're talking about that. I think I'm looking at my mic. I'm trying to set up all this stuff now. If I have the mic on my computer playing while this mic is picking it up, what's that going to do? Is that going to create a double?
no,
Oh, so it's okay.
it'll be okay. Yeah.
Right.
So I told her, absolutely, no matter what,
Hmm.
do not talk to these people. Never touch that paper. And I didn't go back to work for, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5 days after that.
You were so
And
upset.
yeah, I was still upset. I just, you know, then maybe the 15 days had passed, and I went back to work, and they were there, and they were like really pissed off at me. Did you
Hmm.
tell her what to do and stuff like that? And I said, yeah, because you guys lied. You guys should be in prison for doing that, because that's totally against Securities and Exchange law.
Right.
And I told them, like, I quit, and I
Uh-huh.
walked out, and I went fishing for like 3 months. And the reason why I went fishing is because you get your commissions
Mhm.
3 months after, right? So
Right.
if you sell stuff until April, the commissions you would get would be June, July, August.
Right.
So that's what I did. And then I got sick of that. And then, also the United States invaded Grenada,
Mhm.
which I was very upset about. And I just kind of thought, nah, I'm just going to go move around. I'm going to go move to Japan for a couple of years, check it out. Then maybe go move to Italy and check it out. But I came to Japan and I'd already been here 5 or 6 times because thank you, California government. But um, I just I really liked it here. And 1 month after getting here, I got a regular show on TV Tokyo. I
Wow.
couldn't speak a word of Japanese. And
But did you understand Japanese? Did your mother ever speak to you in Japanese when you were growing up?
no, never.
Never.
She was so against me moving to Japan. And
Wait,
my
so your mom, I understand. She was one of those Japanese that was fed up with Japan, didn't like the hierarchy, didn't like the way it was set up, didn't like
well,
the
no, she was in Kyushu during the war.
okay.
So she remembers Japan as just being like this bombed out place.
Okay.
And she hadn't been back there since 1950.
Mm-hmm.
And so her whole family died in the war, and she has no good memories of it. But so after I started on the TV show, then I got a bunch of radio shows, and I made a lot of money, and every year I would pay for my parents to come here.
Okay.
And after I think the first time my mom came here, she was shocked, and
At the
she was like,
change.
"Yeah, this is such a wonderful place." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm not going back there."
Wow. That's
So
interesting. So did she ever
I've been a
hear?
radio DJ. I've
Okay.
been a radio DJ. I'm too old now to be on TV,
Okay.
but
Why
I've
do you
been
say that? Why do you say that? Because you look like
well,
you're in your 40s. You know, look like you're in your early 40s.
I eat raw food.
Okay. So
That's-
eating raw foods will make it happen. You're not a
And I
vegetarian.
sleep a lot.
Are you a vegetarian?
Yeah, well, kind of a vegetarian, but mostly consider myself a raw fooder. I'll
Okay.
eat sashimi and stuff like that.
All right. Okay.
And it's not a religion, so I don't mind, if let's say you say let's go to lunch at the American Club,
And
and
have a hamburger, you'd eat it. Yeah.
yeah, well, I probably wouldn't order a hamburger. I'd order a Cobb salad or something like that. But if it was like only hamburgers, okay, I'll eat it.
Okay.
No problem.
Right.
Not a problem in the world. But so anyway, I've been a radio disc jockey now since 1986.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been fired from every FM radio station in Tokyo.
Fired? Now,
Fired.
what were the reasons? Because of their income?
No, it's because I'm not really like a company guy. You know what I mean?
All right.
FM.
You're not a
You
good
don't
team
listen
player? Are you trying to say you're not a good team player? You like to play individual sports like tennis and
Yeah, I was in high school. I was a cross country runner.
okay, well that doesn't depend. Yeah, that doesn't depend on a whole lot of other people.
Yeah. So, but I'd always liked independent music.
Uh-huh. Oh,
And
that's right. Yeah, we have to get into that too. I want to make sure that you play some of your music like you did the first time we were supposed to be doing this. I want you to do that again. That was nice.
So I've always been into indies music, and every show I've ever had is typical Japanese radio show. Hey, let's go back in time, and here's what's it called, Van Halen. It's like, come on, everyone plays this stuff. This is not exciting at all.
Okay.
And I would always complain about that. So generally speaking, most of my radio shows have been canceled after maybe 3 years.
Mm.
So now I do what's called the Mike Rogers Show,
Right.
and it's on in 18 nations. I'm on 2 FM stations in Japan, and total of 57 stations.
Mm-hmm.
So
And that's over the internet.
yeah, some of them, 2
Some of them
stations
are
are
on the internet.
FMs.
Right.
Yeah. So it's over the internet, but I play Japanese indies music, and I'm the only one in the world who does this. And for some reason, that show's really popular.
Okay. Well,
And
for those that don't know, what's Indies music? I mean, give us an example of what you play.
you mean you want me to play it now?
Yeah, like you did the girls that you played before, that famous group that you were telling me about that group.
Well, here's a group that I think is really good. It's called Kelly Muff, and they're going to be. I have a New Year's show every year at a big club. It's free. Everything is free. Everybody gets in free, but you got to reserve your ticket. Otherwise, you won't be able to get in. And they're called Kelly Muff. And this is a Japanese band, but this girl can scream and wail. It reminds me of 1968 San Francisco or something like that. So you want me to play it now?
Yes, please.
Okay. Why isn't it playing? Wait a minute. Oh, there it goes. Here we go. So you can get it there, Lance. That's
a Japanese band, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not like top 40 music. I don't like that. Here's one more song.
Okay.
This is a band that I played, and I posted this on Facebook, and it had 1.8 million views. What? And 970 shares. And this band is going to be, oh, wait a minute. So I'll play this. This is called Sakuran Zensen. And
and you see those people in Japan walking around with green hair and purple hair and yellow hair, and you can tell a lot of times that they're band members because of the way that they'll dress, and they're going
or they're carrying a guitar,
right? They're carrying an instrument. You can tell that too. So, and you see a lot of that around Shibuya and Meguro.
Yeah. So this band, I played it, and then it hit really big. This was like in the middle of August. And I heard the other day that Sony has signed them.
Okay.
So Sony's going to screw them up.
Because sound completely different, right?
Yeah. And, but hey, that's the dream of a band. Make a band and they get signed by a major and, do whatever. So.
Did you ever belong to a band? You belonged to a band, you told me once, right?
Yeah, I belonged to a band in Los Angeles. The band's
famous band. That's right. You told me it's a famous band.
Yeah. The band was called The Rodders,
mm-hmm.
and our famous song was called "Sit on My Face," Stevie Nicks.
Right.
And it was a monster hit, and it was played all over the United States, banned in a lot of states. Mm-hmm. California, it was banned in California, banned on KROQ and all these. And we used to tour with like the Dead Kennedys. Mm-hmm. and Black Flag, and Fear, and bands like that. That was a really wonderful time.
Right, and you were a singer. You were the singer, right? Were you the lead singer?
Yeah, I was the lead singer.
Okay.
So that was actually how I got into radio. Right. That band was only around for about a year and 3 months, and those other guys were fighting all the time. So I quit, and then I told this very famous disc jockey in Los Angeles, Rodney Bingenheimer, on KROQ, "Hey, Rodney, I'll be your assistant. You don't have to pay me. I'll walk around, carry your records, protect you from people and stuff like that." And he said, "Okay." So I did that for 2 years. And Rodney introduced me to so many famous people. Like he introduced me to Phil Spector, Blondie, the Ramones. I mean, I can't even think of so many famous musicians.
Mm-hmm.
And Phil Spector, you know who Phil Spector is,
Yes, of
right?
course, yes.
Okay, so Phil Spector, he came. It wasn't Christmas, but maybe a couple days before Christmas in 1980.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the studio, there's this red light that blinks when someone's at the door. So Rodney says, "Mike, go answer the door, and let him in, whatever." So up till that time, it had always been punk bands
Mm-hmm.
who'd come to visit Rodney. Guys, leather jackets, leather pants, everything, the whole thing, So
Mm-hmm.
I thought, all right, fine. So I go to the door and I'm expecting like the Clash or something like that. I open the door. Here's this one guy standing there, and it looks like my dad.
Right.
And he's wearing just regular clothes and stuff. And I was like, really snotty, like, "Who are you? What do you want?" And he was like, "Oh, I'm here to see Rodney. He asked me to come on the show today." And I was like, "Oh, okay, come on in." So came in, went into the studio, started talking, and I'm outside cleaning up, straightening out records and stuff like that. And they're talking, and they start talking about the Beatles and Let It Be and stuff like that. And I'm like, here, listening to this, I'm like, the Beatles, Let It Be. He produced Let It Be, and he produced Let It Be and all those famous 50s bands and everything. And I was like, oh no, I was really rude to him. Guy screwed up. So
Right.
when it was over, I took him out and I was really nice to him. But he was a nice guy. He wasn't
Yeah. Well, he
mean to me.
realized you didn't know who he was at the beginning, and he realized when you did realize, you gave him the respect he was due. So
Oh,
that's right.
thanks, Lance,
That's
for
right.
fixing
That's
that
right.
for me. So anyway, so I've been doing um, online radio I've been doing online radio for about a year and 2 months now.
And you've been on some of the big shows. You've been. I mean, you said you were on InterFM, right?
Yeah. I was on InterFM for 23 years.
That's right, InterFM. I listened to you because I used to listen to InterFM from the beginning, from the onset, because I was
Oh
so
yeah.
happy they had an English speaking FM station. Because when I first came here, there weren't any.
Then you definitely know my show called Good Morning Garage.
That's great. Yes, I
That
do
was
know
my
your
show.
show. Yes,
I
I do.
was the director, producer, writer for that show.
Right.
And that was the biggest, most famous show that station has ever had.
Mhm.
And but that ended like, I don't know, 3.5 years or so.
Mm. Yeah.
Because upper management changes. When upper management changes, they want everything to change. And
Mhm.
so anyhow, yeah, that was a good time.
Yeah. So that had to be, was that in the 80s? In the 80s when they started InterFM? I think.
No, InterFM started in 1999, I believe.
Oh, it's 99. Okay, 99. Okay. Wow,
So
that was late. Wait, hold on. What was I listening to? Because I had to listen to, of course, I was listening to the Armed Forces radio because that's all we had. There was in English, basically, until the InterFM and those stations, a couple of FM stations came on
yeah,
live.
InterFM's totally changed now, and it's
Mhm. I don't listen
basically
to
a
the radio.
Japanese station.
Right. Well, see,
So
they can't, I know, I would assume they can't get the kind of advertisement they got at the beginning because now with everybody going online to get all of their music needs, no one's listening to radio.
no, actually, no one is, and the
Right.
cost of running an FM radio station is huge. There's
Good.
38 million people in Tokyo, and there's only 5 free FM stations,
Okay.
and the
Wait,
government will
you said
not.
5 free?
Yeah, free. What I mean is privately run
Okay,
radio stations.
okay.
So the government will not support these stations anymore. They used to,
Mhm.
but they won't do it anymore because of what's called community FM. So station like Inter FM is losing 200 to 20 million and 30 million yen a month,
Mm.
and they have to pay for the antenna rental. The
Oh,
antenna is on top of Tokyo Tower, and
mhm.
that costs a lot of money. It costs $1 million like a year about to run that antenna. They can't get people to pay proper sponsoring anymore. I mean, they can get Lance Lee's Parrot Cage Shop to do sponsors, but they can't get, you know, Nissan, Toyota, and the
They
big
can't get any
airlines.
big sponsors, right?
Yeah, they can't get any
Mm-hmm.
because of the internet now. The big sponsors just, well, why won't we just promote our own webpage?
Right.
Right.
And that's what they're doing. Yeah. Once everyone started going online, that changed the dynamics of everything. And you said you're really going to push your online station and what you're doing, and you believe that's going to be a really big.
The future.
That's going to be the future. You said, all right.
Yeah, when InterFM canceled my show, I was really upset. After 23 years, I'd been there, and I thought, what am I going to do? So I went to see a guy named Yu Sasamoto, who's the president of Twitter. He's a really good friend of mine, old friend, and we just talked. And he said, "You know what you should do? You should do digital radio because that's the future, and concentrate on doing that. Don't try to get another FM radio show because it's over for FM. In fact, most people don't know this, but your smartphone has an FM tuner in it.
Yes.
Tuner chip. But it's not turned on to FM. They use it for GPS.
Okay. That's what's guiding you around from
Yeah.
where
And
you are.
FM stations have, pleaded with Apple and whatever the Android companies and stuff to turn on the FM chip, but they won't do it. And they basically just said no. Like it was I don't know, 2017 or something like that, when they absolutely decided no. So I'm concentrating on internet radio and just trying to expand the station. COVID has really messed things up, but I would like to be on in 100 countries and 100 stations. So my model is Wolfman Jack.
Okay.
Because Wolfman Jack back in the 50s couldn't get on any American radio stations.
That's right.
So
Nobody would have him. Right.
Yeah, nobody would have him. So he went down to Mexico and gave his show to these stations. And these Mexican FM stations are super powerful. I mean, there's a station in Mexico that you can hear it in Minnesota.
Wow.
Because they don't have regulations like that. And he built his whole empire from scratch like that. So that's my model, the Wolfman Jack. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So, I really like that kind of independent minded, what do you call it? I'm forgetting English.
That's okay.
Entrepreneur spirit. I really like that a lot. And that's why I've been fired from most FM stations.
You came up with what I can imagine, Mike, is you had too many ideas, and they happened to be good ideas, and you weren't the one that owned the company, and they didn't want to hear it from one of their subordinates.
Yeah, well, like Good Morning Garage was super popular, and it had 4 major sponsors. We had AU, KDDI-AU. We had Fiat, and what's the tire company called? Some Italian tire company, big company.
Oh, Pirelli.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's it. And we had Delta Airlines.
Okay.
And Apple.
And Apple as well. Wow, that's fine.
Sponsored us because Apple does not sponsor radio shows. But so
they wanted to get in because they weren't big in Japan yet. All right.
Yeah, so that was by far the biggest show in the history of that station. And one day they just canceled it. And they said, we're going to move you guys to 6:00 in the evening. And I was like, are you crazy? You got a car company, a tire company. Everybody wants to advertise to morning drive time people. So actually, I kind of dropped off from that. I told I'm not going to do the 6 p.m. show. But they kept it up. And my other 2 assistants, they kept doing it. And then one day, InterFM called me up on the phone and they said, can you please come back? And I was like, why? Because they're fighting on air on the show. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Those guys, they would fight or just bicker.
Okay,
you know,
bigger.
little
Right,
snide
And
remarks
you
and
knew it
stuff.
was real. And you knew it was real.
Yeah,
People could
it's
tell. The listeners could tell it was real. Right.
yeah. So the sales manager called me and said, "Please come back."
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, all right, just for a while."
And you did?
Yeah, well,
Wow.
because I was the manager of those two guys,
Okay.
so I couldn't afford them to screw things up for themselves. I was like, "What's wrong with you guys?"
Right.
You know, I'm sure Lance, you had the same kind of experience with staff. It's like, what's your problem?
Well, not quite. Not quite. Mine's a little bit different. A different kind of business. So tell me, so right now, what you're doing, do you have staff now? Or are you doing most of it on your own like a lot of other people?
Um, I have a staff running my website in the United States and doing management for me in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have another staff person who handles social media stuff.
Right.
He's in the United States.
Okay.
And then I have a girl here who helps me. Um, we have to make a cue sheet when you make a radio show,
Mm-hmm.
you know, from 00 whatever this song plays until 3 minutes and 21. And you got to write that stuff down. But if you're doing the show, you don't have time to do that.
So you need someone to do it for you. Okay.
Yes, you got to have someone to do it for you, or listen to the show after you've done it and then write it down. And I'm just not into that at all.
Right. Mm,
So,
good.
so there's four of us
Mm-hmm.
now doing this show.
That's good. That's good. And how long
Yeah,
are your shows? How long are your shows? An hour? 1 hour?
my Mike Rogers show is 2 hours long,
2 hours long. Okay.
and then I do a 1 hour. The same. The name of the show is the same. A 1 hour show at FM in Kyushu, Love FM,
Mm-hmm.
76.1, and then I do another show at Chofu FM here in Tokyo,
Right.
and then I do another um, show on Helsinki Radio. Helsinki Radio is a huge station. I mean, it's bigger than J-Wave or any of these stations, and I'm on that station there. It's really difficult to communicate with those guys.
Why is that? Why is that?
But they speak Finnish.
Oh, finish. Oh, I see. Okay.
But I got
So,
the show. I got the show because a really, really famous concert promoter
mm-hmm.
introduced me to them
Mm-hmm.
and said, "You got to hire this guy." And they were like, "No." And it took like maybe 8 months for me to get that job. Now they love me.
Wow. If
So
somebody wanted to get into the business that you're in, what would you suggest they do? What would be some of the first steps?
um, right now,
If
I
you like
think
what they're doing, yeah, the music
yeah,
that you apply.
yeah. Well, they've got to have a music policy.
Okay.
Play a certain kind of music, whether it's jazz or whether it's mainstream rock is like not a good job.
Okay.
All the mainstream rock DJs are really old guys like me, but you do jazz or you do hip hop or
Mhm.
you do whatever, and you focus on that. Have you ever heard of the hedgehog concept?
Yes. No, I've
You know,
never heard of the concept. No, I've heard of it. Go
okay,
on.
a hedgehog concept is the hedgehog for defense can only do one thing, and that's curl up in a ball and have his spikes stick out.
Okay.
That's all he can do. So the fox will try to catch the hedgehog and eat him, but every time the fox jumps out, whatever way he does, the hedgehog just goes into a ball and sits there. So the fox can't get to him and leaves him alone. So this is the same as like a baseball player or whatever. For example, a baseball player who like is what's called a utility man. He
Mm-hmm.
can play first base, he can play catcher, he can play outfield, he can do whatever. No one has ever become famous doing that. But
Mm-hmm.
if you are a pitcher and you can like come in and like fireballs and strike out three guys, you will be very famous and you will make a lot of money. So that's the hedgehog concept. So for me, I am an Japanese indies radio disc jockey,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm the only one in the world doing this. Even on FM radio in Japan, nobody plays Japanese indies music.
So you think it's just a matter of time before bingo, your time's going to come around. They're going to pull your card. Your ring's
Yeah,
going to, yeah.
either that or I'll kill myself.
Become famous that way.
Yeah, well, got to think about these things, But
So So that's what so you suggest if someone wants to get into this business, into the broadcasting business with music, they should stick to one genre, basically.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because
Okay.
if you spread yourself out,
Mhm.
what happens is when you're young, you might get a job
Right.
and you won't get paid well. But if you're okay with doing anything,
Mhm.
then you get older.
Mhm.
You get 30 and 40, and there's going to be another 18-year-old come along who's going to willing to do anything, and you're going to be out of a job.
Right, I got you.
So I used to know this guy who was one of the most famous chefs in the world, and he worked for Sheraton, and all he did was go around to all the Sheraton hotels around the world, and he taught them how to make pastries.
Mhm.
And I used to meet him in the morning before going to the show, and we used to sit and chat. And he was such an interesting guy. And he said to me, Mike, you have to focus on doing one thing. So, for example, my job, there's like a French, I don't know what a French toffler pastry. And if you go to the Sheraton Hotel in Hong Kong, or you go to the Sheraton Hotel in Tokyo, or you go to the Sheraton Hotel in New York, they're all the same. They taste the same. They're exactly the same. And he said, I love McDonald's. And I was like, what? And he said, I love McDonald's because all their hamburgers everywhere, they're the same. They're exactly the same.
You know what you
That
can.
is the key. Yeah, that is the key. You have to be an expert at making just this one thing.
Mhm. Mhm.
You don't
And
need to
people.
know a lot of things.
Right, right.
Just you have to be the world's best. And as you get older, more and more people will drop off this business. But if you're known, like you are the world's #1 pastry guy. Everyone knows,
Mhm.
and you'll always have a job.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So
That's interesting, yeah.
I'm sure he's probably retired by now because he must be 80 or something like that.
Mhm. Wow.
But yeah, that
So
was a really interesting story.
so you see from this time going forward, you see yourself continuing with your broadcasting, of course, because you want to make yourself known in that area.
Yeah.
And what else? Anything else you're doing outside of that?
Um.
Because you're doing movies too, aren't you? You're writing scripts.
Yes, I write scripts and make movies,
Mhm.
and I'm running, like I just mentioned, the JIFF Film Festival. That's going to be November 16th and 17th.
Have you
How
have
I
you
got?
made any movies as of yet?
Oh yes, I've made 2 movies.
What are they? What are the names of those two?
One's called Ghost Roads, and a Japanese rock and roll ghost story,
Okay.
and it world premiered at Raindance.
Okay.
And then the next year, I made another film, documentary called Matsuchio, The Life of a Geisha, and it's about a real geisha. None of this, like, I'm sorry BBC, but none of this. The life of a geisha. Here's 22-year-old Junko. It's like, no, she's not a geisha.
Right.
This woman's like 83 years old. She's president of the Geisha Guild. She's still doing geisha. She started doing geisha like right after the war ended,
Mhm.
and she's been doing it for years, and she's got so many old photos. Like, hey, there you are, Edward G. Robinson.
Wow.
Holy, he was my mom and dad's favorite gangster guy, And she's got so many pictures like that of
Where can
really
we
famous.
where can we find your films?
You can watch Matsuchio at the Japan International Film Festival.
Mhm.
Ghost Roads, I sold it to a Japanese major film company, and they control the rights to it for probably 2 more years
Okay.
in Japan. So you can, in the States, you can see it in, I think Amazon, what's it called, Amazon Prime,
Right.
and in the UK, you can see it there too.
Okay. And
So
Masachio, our Life of a Geisha is gonna where would you won't be able to see that except for at Raindance?
no, you can see that at JIFF,
JFF.
November 16th and 17th.
Okay.
Yes,
So
free.
that was a recent movie you just made or what?
Yeah, that was made in 2018.
Okay, so that just came out. Okay.
So that I made that movie, and then I won an award for a producer,
Mhm.
and from Raindance, and then they asked me to be a jury member.
Mm.
So now I I believe I'm a jury member for life at
Okay.
Raindance, because they want somebody who, like, a lot of people want to be a jury member at Raindance. It's just status.
Mm-hmm.
But in my case, they didn't have any like musicians, music producers, people like that. So they asked me to judge music videos, and I judge documentaries too.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, you do this in a way. So this isn't something the public will see at all when you're judging. It's not like,
no,
okay, so it's something you just do on the side, and then you put in your input, and then we
yeah,
find.
I vote. All the judges vote for which film is best or whatever. But I imagine that I think I'm not sure. Like the music video section there's probably 4 people or so judging,
Uh-huh.
and then you give a score of 5 or a 4, and then they accumulate the scores, and then they pick the winner.
Do you get compensated for doing that?
I get to go to London
Oh, that's nice.
every year, and
Okay,
everything's paid for.
that's nice.
So
That's a
yeah.
compensation. Yes, that's nice. Wow. So,
London's okay, Lance, but
no, I've been to
nothing,
London. I've been to the
nothing works. Nothing works there. It
It's old.
drives me
It's old.
crazy.
It's old. It's old. It's old. That's why they cherish history, because everything there is historic.
Yeah. It's like every time I go there, there's a train strike.
The cobble roads, everything. Yeah, I've been to London.
Yeah.
I know.
Every time I go there, there's a train strike, or there's a bus strike, or
right.
there's a taxi strike.
Right.
Every time I go there, and then the hotel I'll be staying in, I get there and pull out my PC and start using it and use it for a couple hours, and all of a sudden it's gone.
It's gone, right?
Yeah, it's gone for like 3 or 4 days.
Right.
No,
Or the shower, they only have cold water, and you go, come on.
I know.
I know. Yeah. I'm telling you. So what am I paying for then? Listen, so you have a movie that obviously you just worked on. I'm assuming you worked on, and that's what you just got through having the meeting about. Was that
yes.
a movie that you just worked on that you can't talk about? You're not at the
well, no, I can tell you roundabout details. So after I made Ghost Roads, a lot of people asked me like, okay, you're gonna make another one, gonna make a sequel. And this new movie I wrote with Stephen David Brooks. Actually, Stephen wrote most of it. It's just my name. No, anyway, Stephen told me something, and Stephen is a Stephen King approved writer. He wrote Stephen King's movie Mangler.
Okay, I didn't see that.
So anyway, he's a pretty famous guy, and he said to me, "Look, let's make a movie again. Let's make a movie, but I don't want to premiere at Raindance. I don't want to do that. I want to premiere at Cannes or Berlin. And so we need to make a movie that has like a big budget, like, millions of dollars to make this movie." So I said, well, okay, that's fine. So we wrote this movie script, and I think it's a really good movie script. And we got a famous Japanese to appear in it. And when was it? Yesterday, I had a meeting with the director and some other people, and we went through the contracts and everything, and it looks like this movie's going to happen. And
good.
I'm happy about that.
That's wonderful. That's good.
Yeah.
So if it does happen, how long do you think it'll take before it'll be out? A year, 2 years?
Yeah, probably a year.
So we're looking at 2021, 2022, maybe 2022.
Yeah, something like that. But and we are expecting to world premiere it at Berlin. Berlin is a huge film festival. They've been doing it for 50 years or something. I'm not sure.
Are you going to have anything? Are you going to have anything to do with the Olympics, 2020?
Well, actually, I was hired by a Japanese TV station to do all the announcements for the Paralympics.
Okay.
So I was all happy this year. Yeah, all this announcement going to come in, and then I've done one. And I told them, nah, it's okay. It's not your fault that everything's, nothing's happening. And
they're still going to go, they're going to do it in 2021. They're still going to do the Olympics.
Yeah, but nobody's going to come here.
Huh? No one's going to come. Of course, it's going to be virtual. Everyone's going to be watching online, but there's still some of the athletes are going to come, and whoever comes is going to have a chance, of course, to make Olympic history. But that's going to be
Wow, that's a good point, Lance.
yeah.
You have
That's
more of
true.
a chance of
You sure
getting
do.
killed walking across the street than you do catching corona and dying here.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Almost anywhere, unless you have pre-existing condition,
Or you're obese. I read an
No,
article the other day.
but that's a pre-existing
Yeah.
condition.
I
That's
read an
what's
article.
causing it.
I read an article the other day from an American doctor who worked with a Japanese doctor, and they had come to the conclusion that in America, so many people are dying from corona because they're obese.
There you go.
So
And
I'm glad I don't.
most people identify obesity with the size, but that's not, well, that is true. Mostly it is, that's what it is. I was thinking
Yeah.
about being diabetic, because you don't have to be large to be diabetic. And, two
Yeah,
diabetic.
but most obese people are diabetic.
They are. And they said that this coronavirus, from what I understand, is mostly, it attacks the lungs because it's a respiratory virus.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you're already having trouble with your lungs, and this just doesn't help any. So,
No.
yeah. Who was that famous Japanese comedian who died?
Shimoda Ken.
Shimoda Ken, and
Yeah.
he had pre-existing conditions. I believe he was diabetic. He was an avid drinker and smoker.
Oh, I
And
heard he smoked 4 packs a day.
he was really, and I'd see him sometimes. Every now and then I'd see him in the Juban, Azabu Juban.
Oh,
He lives close by here. Yeah, he doesn't live far from this area. And I'd see him getting out of his rolls, and he had a driver. And the times I saw him, and he was, a small guy, but still, his insights were just all.
yeah.
Just,
I really liked Shimoda Ken. I liked his comedy.
he was a very good comedian. He was. That was a sad time. I felt
Yeah.
because I enjoyed what he did.
But he had a good life. He made a lot of people happy.
He did.
Probably his style of humor would not fly today.
It was too slapstick, but it was very slapstickish. That's what. But
plus
it's
also
the group that he was with. But you remember the guy that was the head of his group? I forget the name of the group. The four of them, and the taller guy was the lead, and they were
tunnels, right?
They were the Tunnels,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And the older guy passed away. I think it was cancer as well.
Yeah,
but way before. That was a couple of decades ago. He died.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So anyway,
listen, this has been
fantastic.
fantastic.
I miss you. You're great. I really love the sexist jokes too.
Oh, he did so many things. He was something.
Can we talk about sexism in Japan?
You can talk about whatever you want here. Sure.
Anyway, I used to be an executive at TV Tokyo owned InterFM, so I was general manager. Mm-hmm. So we used to have these meetings, and these young girl secretaries would bring tea in their cups of coffee or whatever. And don't think of myself as being sexist at all. And I used just to be nice to people. And the girl would bring the coffee, and I'd say, "Hey, do you have any sugar?" And she'd say, "Oh, no, I don't have any." I'd say, "Oh, no, dear, just put your pinky finger in it. That'll make it sweet enough." And the girl would laugh, and the people around me, some of them would say, "That's really sexist. You can't say that." I was like, "Really?"
Well, they weren't Japanese that were saying that. You mean some of the foreigners?
Yeah.
And they had to be more likely American foreigners.
And I was just like, no, I'm just being nice to her,
Right.
And people said, "You can say that, but nobody else can say that." I was like, "Oh, really? Okay, well, I'll be careful." I got in trouble. I got in trouble the other day. We had a meeting with a bunch of university students. Okay. On Zoom, and they have, you can see everyone's face there. Mm-hmm. And they introduced everyone there. And I said to the Japanese guy, all your students, they're really pretty, and the guys are handsome. And that was considered a sexist remark.
Oh, come on.
And I was like, what's wrong? I didn't say oh, I'd like to get a hold of that. I didn't say anything. I was just like, oh, you girls are all really pretty, and the guys are really handsome. It's really nice. You
Well,
know?
it's true. In this country, there are so many pretty people and so many handsome men, I guess, but
Yeah.
I'm more into the pretty women. Hey, listen, Mike, how can people contact you or find out about your show before we
Okay.
do this?
I have a webpage, and it's www.mikerogersshow.com.
Mm-hmm.
And that's run by these guys in the States, but there's a mail forum there, and then the mails are forwarded to me. I don't know how they do it. I'm not into this high-tech stuff. I'm into Radio Shack. You know what I'm saying? That's the technology I'm into.
Mike, I want to thank you for being a part of this podcast. I'll let you know when it's out. I'll setting you up, and this won't be the last one. I'm going to have you back on again.
Okay. But Lance, did you see my email? What I wrote about what you should name this show?
Oh yeah, I saw that. Well, yeah, yes. I don't know if that would go. I don't think that would fly. Because we are right next to the Russian embassy, that's for sure.
Well, I remember in the 70s and the 80s, there were rumors that there was like radios buried.
We're right next to the Russian embassy. As a matter of fact, when we built the new club, we asked them if we could dig at an angle underneath the embassy, their property, and they said no way. So we had to make it straight up vertical, straight up and down on the side. But in the other properties around on the other side of us, because we have one street on the side, on the other side, they allowed us to go at an angle because we needed that just to secure the base of the foundation. But hey, yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting why we're right next door to each other. I've always suspected there's something going on. I don't think they find out too much on this side, but
kind of a get smart
you know
type
what I mean?
something.
I think so.
So,
listen.
All right. Well,
this one I
so
did
much.
record. This one I did record, and I'll begin it. I hope this mic isn't feeding back because it's hearing.
No, it's not
plugged
feeding
in.
back.
It won't feed back at all.
I don't hear any feedback.
Okay, because it's. I see the mic. I see it registering every time you speak.
Well, that's because it's coming out your speaker.
It is. It's coming out the speaker here, but that won't.
I don't think so.
Okay, I hope not. Well, everyone's going to find out. The people that are listening to it and the people that look at it. And I set the setup differently today. I'm trying new things. This is only the 4th podcast.
Okay.
But thank you again, Mike. I mean,
thank you, Lance.
And this will be going out by the end of next week. I'll have
Great. So I brag to everybody that like I'm friends with the president of American Club. So you bow your head to me.
I'm gonna tell everyone I know Mike Rogers, and they're gonna go, "What? You don't know Mike Rogers?" Say yes.
He owes me $10. So okay, man.
All right. Take care, buddy, and you have a great day.
You too. See you later. Bye.
Bye.